All right, we are recording this just minutes after the Michigan Wolverines have been crowned national champions. So congrats to any Michigan fans out there.
Go Blue,
I know
man.
we've got Joe. Shout out to Joe, one of our friends.
Yeah, all love, man.
We've got quite a few people in the community who are big Michigan fans as well. Shout out to Kyle. He also with some Devy stuff. He was actually at the national championship game.
Oh, was he?
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Big shout out to those guys. Congrats on your championship. Well deserved. And now I'm just going to ask Harbaugh, come on over to Washington. Come on.
No, please
come on
don't.
over to Washington.
Whatever you do not go there.
But anyway, guys, we are bringing you a SuperFlex rookie mock draft. Now, we've been doing a lot of one quarterback versions of these, and that's because we had them pre-recorded because we went away on a break for Christmas and New Year's. And we saw the comments. You know, the SuperFlex people are starting to get a little jealous. They're like, hey, okay, it's time for SuperFlex. All right, stop helping the one quarterback people out. So here we are. We love both formats. We're going to do a 2024 SuperFlex rookie mock draft. Now, we're going to be using the landing spots from a 7-round mock draft from Pro Football Network's AJ Schultz. This was released on January 6th. It's a 7-round mock. Do us a favor, go ahead and smash that like button. Badaki, without further ado, I'm going to give you the 101. And of course, we will link the description below for if people want to check out this mock draft that we're using.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so at the 101 here, once again, a SuperFlex rookie draft here. Mm-hmm. And at the 101, I'm going to be taking up, of course, Caleb Williams. He goes to the Chicago Bears. Of course, Justin Fields, I'm assuming, is no longer with the team. DJ Moore's elevated. Cole Kmet elevated to a next level. Big old Roscoe elevated. Caleb Williams should be a good fresh start for the Chicago community, for Chicago, the city of Chicago. I'll take Caleb Williams here.
Yeah, we kept talking about this. Will they build around Justin Fields? Mm-hmm. Well, in today's mock draft, and we don't know what's going to happen, but in today's mock draft, they decided, we're going to reset the rookie quarterback contract clock, and we're going to grab Caleb Williams. And here at the 102, this is where my heart is being torn in two different directions because one of my favorite teams has the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. I'm so excited. So I'm going to go ahead and take Drake May, who went 2nd overall to the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
I think about the foundation of what Drake May is about to step into. New ownership, an entire new coaching staff. We've already seen they're starting to make some hires, but he's going to step into an organization that is built around him solely, completely, where, the Commanders are going to try and do what the Texans did with CJ Stroud. They're going to try and hire the right coaching staff. They're going to try and put the right pieces around him. Maybe they'll address the offensive line in free agency. But what we do know is this year, Sam Howell had a lot of really good fantasy performances because there's a lot of good weapons around him. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got Jahan Dotson. We'll see what happens with Curtis Samuel, who's a free agent. But this is an exciting pick, not only for me, who, I'm a Washington fan, I'm a Chiefs fan. For my NFC team, it's exciting for Washington, but it's also exciting from a fantasy perspective because we've already seen what an inferior talent like Sam Howell was able to do for fantasy on this team. So I'll take him there as the 2nd pick, the 102.
Yeah, love the landing spot. I think whoever goes to the Commanders has a plethora of weapons already, which is really exciting. Yeah. So,
and hopefully whoever the new OC is able to use Jahan Dotson.
Please. For the
love of God.
I beg of you.
At least Drake had some success with Josh Downs out of the slot. I don't, Jahan doesn't always play in the slot, but maybe they could put him there. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways. All right. At the 103 here, I'm obviously I can go with another quarterback. I know it's SuperFlex, but it's hard to pass up on Marvin Harrison Jr. here with the 3rd overall pick. In this rookie mock, but he goes in the 4th pick in the NFL mock to the Arizona Cardinals, linking up with Kyler Murray. You expect, maybe you think Hollywood Brown is going to stay on this team. The pure amount of targets and opportunity Marvin Harrison is going to get with Kyler Murray is going to be out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, top 5 already wide receiver coming into this, rookie season, in my personal opinion, at least for me. Yeah. That's how high this guy is going to be, especially with an elite quarterback, as I like to call him, the cockroach.
Are you going to call him elite now? You can't hate on the guy. And call him elite.
I always said he was elite. I never disliked Kyler Murray's game. I hated the way he runs. He bothers me. It's an
just
ick.
a hater.
It's an ick of mine. I don't like the way he runs. But with Marvin Harrison, I'll draft him 10 times every single day. I'm going to that team, so I'll take Marvin Harrison here at the 103.
Well, as much as I love Kyler, I don't think I would label him elite, but I do think it's a very good landing spot. We can both agree on that.
Elite for fantasy. How about that?
Sure.
That's what I guess that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say is, think about when DeAndre Hopkins joined this team and he got, 8 to 10 targets a game with Kyler Murray. I think that's the type of treatment you'd get from day one with a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
All right, at the 104, I get another one of my guys. I'm super hyped about this. Jaden Daniels goes to the New England Patriots. Now, question is, who's going to be the person he's throwing the ball to? Well, we'll figure that out. We will figure that out. But potentially a whole new regime there. We'll have to wait and see. But Jaden Daniels goes to the Patriots with the 4th overall pick in the first round. Now, in the second round, they add a wide receiver for him. I won't spoil it. And in the 6th round, they add a tight end. But he's got Demario Pop Douglas. Look, maybe they make a splash in free agency. Some pretty good wide receivers available in free agency. But I'll go ahead and take Jaden Daniels off the board there at the 104. I've comped him many times to Robert Griffin III. Some people really don't like that comp because they think about what happened to RG3 after he was injured. And I would just encourage those people to just more think about what he was when he was a good player before that injury happened. You know, in his rookie year, he was one of the best quarterbacks in all of fantasy football. But we're talking about a true dual threat, a guy who is fantastic on the ground, probably becomes a top 4 rushing quarterback in the NFL from the day that he is drafted. But he's not only a rushing quarterback, he's a very, very good quarterback in general. He had the #1 passing grade according to PFF, the first NFL passer rating according to PFF. He completed over 71% of his passes in the SEC. He had 29 big-time throws, which is 3rd best in the nation. And most importantly, guys, he is a fantastic decision maker. Think about all of these guys with this kind of profile. The extremely athletic, mobile quarterback that you don't have to only throw around. What do you think about? You think about turnovers. But Jaden Daniels was one of the most efficient quarterbacks, and he took care of the ball more than any other quarterback in college football, relative to the amount of passing attempts he had. He only threw 4 interceptions all year, despite throwing for 40 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. So I'll take him there, and New England has a new piece to build around. So I'll take him there at the 104.
Great pick there. Makes sense. At the 105, my beloved New York Football Giants, a great wide receiver coming to this team.
Elite wide receiver.
There you go. An elite wide receiver coming to this team. Literally an organization changer. Malik Neighbors going to the New York Football Giants. Now, you're saying, who's the quarterback? Is it Daniel Jones? Is it Tyrod Taylor? Is it Tommy Cutlets? I don't know. I don't care. But that's how big of a difference this guy makes. He's going to come in. He's going to demand the targets. We've seen the glimpses of success with Wan'Dale Robinson. Yeah, he kind of helped you out in the flex position, but Malik Neighbors is beyond worlds ahead of Wan'Dale Robinson. He comes in once again, going to be the #1 wide receiver. Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Malik Neighbors, Darren Waller, Saquon Barkley, I'm believing. And then Daniel Jones. If he's back, we've seen him produce fantasy relevant players in the past. I'll take Malik Neighbors here at the 105.
He's never had a talent like this. That's for damn sure.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think Malik and Marvin Harrison Jr., I believe they are in the same tier. They're not in a different tier for me. Malik should not be considered some sort of consolation prize if you miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. Malik Neighbors, absolutely an elite prospect in his own right. 92.7 PFF receiving grade, which was 1st in the nation of any wide receiver who had at least 50 targets. Really versatile player. You can put him anywhere on the field. You will script touches, 9 to 10 touches for this guy every game, and he is elite after the catch as well. He is a better athlete than Marvin Harrison Jr. You can fight me in the comments. I believe he is. It's my personal opinion. He's a better athlete, and he's better after the catch. Now, of course, Marvin is a more complete player, but I think they're in the same tier in my personal opinion. There's a little bit of Antonio Brown There is a little bit of Antonio Brown and Malik Neighbors. There really is.
Yeah,
So I like the pick.
I like it.
By the way, you guys did get a quarterback in round 3.
I did see that.
We'll talk about him later.
I did see that.
But at the 106, this is not tight end premium, but I still think this is where I would take Brock Bowers personally. He goes to the Los Angeles Chargers with the 6th overall pick in the NFL draft. There's definitely another wide receiver I would have considered here, and I can already imagine people typing on the keyboards, "You absolute idiot." Rome Odunze is still available. Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but as far as Brock Bowers goes, I think he instantly comes into this team and is the 1A, 1B to Keenan Allen. A guy that can work over the middle of the field. We'll see what happens with all the contracts and all the cap situation over there in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but we know there's a new GM, there's a new head coach. If they are drafting Brock Bowers, that means Quentin Johnston's not good enough. That means Mike Williams is probably not someone they're going to rely on as much as they used to. That means Keenan Allen, who knows? Do they keep him on the team? Probably, but is he someone that they're going to build around for the next 2 to 3 years when he's going to be 31, 32 years old? You've got the weapon, the premier weapon that Justin Herbert will be building around for the next 5, 6, 7, hopefully even 10 years. You know, we said this with the Buffalo Bills. We said this with the Detroit Lions. They're trying to get their Travis Kelce. Well, in the same division as Travis Kelce takes a decline, maybe the Chargers are like, we want to get our Travis Kelce, the guy who's going to put us over the top in that division.
Makes
so
sense.
I'll take Brock Bowers there. The best collegiate tight end ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, a phenomenal pick there for the Chargers. Brock Bowers going there. All right, at the 107, Zach kind of mentioned him earlier, Rome Odunze. He does go with the 9th overall pick to a team that we're not excited about, but I'm going to talk it up a little bit. He goes to the Atlanta Falcons. And the reason why I'm going to talk this up, because I'm believing Justin Fields is going to this team, right? And not even just Justin Fields. I'm believing that, look, he's going to come in and make a difference. Yeah, you have Drake London. Yes, you have Bijan Robinson. Yes, you have Kyle Pitts. Rome Odunze comes in and also demands targets. It may not be the consistency that we hoped and expected from a Rome Odunze to be the alpha wide receiver 1 or this elite wide receiver 1, however way you want to call it. But he's going to still come in and demand targets out of everyone on this team. Now, who's going to be the offensive coordinator? I don't know. Arthur Smith is gone.
Thank God. The bad man is gone.
He is gone. So Arthur Smith's gone. A new head coach is going to come in. Maybe even a new quarterback. Like I said, I'm believing in Justin Fields. And look, I'm not knocking on him because there's going to be a whole new head coach. But is Kyle Pitts ever going to pick it up? Because if he's not going to, and if he continues to play, he has been playing for the past couple of years, then he's not really a factor in the Rome Odunze ascension here, right? I mean, if I'm going with that narrative, not knocking him, just saying if he's going in on the same pathway that he is now, it really shouldn't affect Rome. So I'll take Rome Odunze here at the 107.
I love your optimism. I hate the landing spot. You talked it up. I'm going to just say like maybe the downside of it, you have to compete with 4 very, very good receiving options, right? Because now Bijan Robinson is going to be one of those guys who's getting 70 targets a year.
Yeah.
So you got Bijan, you got Kyle Pitts, who wasn't fully healthy this year. You've got Drake London. The interesting conversation, if this were to happen, is Rome Odunze or Drake London. And I hate to say it, but I think I slightly would prefer Rome Odunze. So
I think it just depends on
that's
where
a weird
they play.
situation there. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Where on the field they play.
All right, I am up here at the 108, and you and I have said this. We have said it again and again and again, but I will repeat, guys. The strength of this class is quarterbacks and receiving threats.
Mm-hmm.
The strength of this class is not running backs. We'll talk about them in a second.
Yep.
But I still do not believe that there is a running back worthy of going in the first round at this point. There are some running backs that declare that we're excited about, but I'm going to keep going with wide receiver. And
where are you going?
I'm going to grab Brian Thomas. I'll grab Brian Thomas here.
Okay.
He goes to the Saints. This is the 13th overall pick in the first round. Brian Thomas links up in New Orleans. He stays home, in the state of Louisiana, out of LSU. Stays in New Orleans to play for the Saints. Links up with Chris Olave. Actually, I think he really complements Chris Olave. I think these guys are very good complements to each other. The good news as well for him is you're not going to be facing any sort of double coverage. Chris Olave is the better route runner, clearly, but Brian Thomas could absolutely open the field up for Chris Olave, and Chris Olave
100%.
can do the same for him. You know, we've already seen what the likes of Rashid Shaheed's been able to do, and then A.T. Perry at times at the end of this year. I think this would be a great fit for Brian Thomas. Big fan of his game. We've talked about how much we like the player. You know, I think a lot of people are starting to come around. I've seen a lot more people in on Brian Thomas, the talent. Now, he needs to improve his release package, needs to expand his route tree. But when you're talking about size, speed athletes, this is a class full of them. But still, Brian Thomas stands out as a very special size, speed athlete. 6'4", 205, ridiculously fluid, great hands, really good threat after the catch as well. Capable run blocker. I mean, he's a guy that could start for you day one. He's not going to, you know, no disrespect to Quentin Johnson, or Treylon Burks, but he's not going to be one of these like project, you know, let's kind of get you up and going. He will start from day one. Of course, there are things he needs to improve on, but he's a guy that you can start from day one and start to get some targets. So I'll take him there as he goes to the Big Easy.
The Big Easy. Okay, I like this pick here. Brian Thomas to the Saints. My biggest concern is who is the quarterback, because Derek Carr frustrates me so much.
I think they're stuck with Carr.
I think they're stuck with Carr as well, but they do draft the quarterback.
Actually, yeah. Okay, well, we'll talk
round.
about that in a second.
We'll talk about that. I'm going to go with another wide receiver
That's
here.
hot.
And yeah, it is. He goes in the first round, linking up with his old college teammates, and Emeka Mbuka goes to the Houston Texans. They're linking up with C.J. Stroud. And I have been saying in the past couple videos.
First round, right?
Yeah, in the first round. Yeah, the 28th pick in the first round. I have been saying in the past couple videos that Tank Dell plays in the slot. I stand corrected. Shout out to everyone in the comments. He does play 28.7% in the slot so far this year, which gives me hope for someone like Emeka Mbuka and Tank Dell to coexist in an offense like this. I've been saying if someone like Emeka comes to this team, I'm a little bit concerned about Tank Dell, but he's been playing 70% out wide, which means that Emeka Mbuka could live specifically in the slot. And we've seen that. You know, I've been comparing him to the Amon-Ra St. Browns, and that is somebody that I love for Emeka Mbuka to come in and look like and be compared to with someone like a C.J. Stroud, who is already, I would say, already an elite fantasy quarterback, an elite quarterback in the NFL. He is playing lights out, made it to the playoffs already. Him linking up with somebody that he has chemistry with in Emeka Mbuka, he gets Tank Dell and potentially Nico Collins there as well. This could be a deadly team if Emeka Mbuka does go to the Houston Texans.
Yeah, already a deadly team. The only reason I didn't grab him at the 108 is because I felt like Brian Thomas had a clear pathway to, you know, instant opportunity, but I do prefer Mbuka as a talent. So I love that pick. I was really torn between those two. And, you know, by the way, guys, speaking of CJ Stroud, this is why it doesn't matter if you only have the 101 in a draft. CJ Stroud was the 105 in consensus ADP last year. So just a friendly reminder, if you have the 105, if you have the 106, 107, you could still draft some great players in rookie drafts.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm up on the clock, and one of my guys, this guy that I've been defending back against the wall, you know, I've been giving him this nickname, and some people don't like it. Some people are catching on. But Ladd McConkey, a.k.a. Ladd, the space creator, this is the first mock draft that I have seen him go in the first round. I did not project him to go in the first round, but in today's world, he is a first-round pick. He goes to the Kansas City Chiefs with the 25th overall pick, and I am absolutely loving this. You know, my team's the Commanders, the Chiefs, and one of my guys, Ladd McConkey, links up with Patrick Mahomes, and I keep saying this. If the Chiefs are going to draft a wide receiver, I want them to draft a space creator, someone who is a good route runner, can give Patrick Mahomes this reliable option when he's in trouble. Whereas, you know, people keep putting the likes of, you know, a Xavier Worthy there, or, you know, I'm just trying to think of names like Xavier Legette, for example. And those are great names, but I want someone with reliable hands that can get open. And that is Ladd McConkey. 83.9 reception percentage in 2023, which was fourth best out of 400 wide receivers with at least 30 targets. He's a quick, decisive planner, really high IQ player, always creating space, dynamic after the catch, really good yak upside, versatile player. You can play him all over the field. I think he complements Rashee Rice really, really well. I think you're getting somewhere between Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, and Hunter Renfrow when you look at a guy like Ladd McConkey. So I think that is the perfect fit for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Do I expect him to go in the first round? No, but he did in today's mock, and that's the world we're living in.
That's the world we are living in. Love the pick. Love the upside there. Ladd McConkey going with Patrick Mahomes here. All right, at the 111, another wide receiver.
Yes.
Adonai Mitchell going to the Buffalo Bills here with the 24th overall pick.
Great pick.
One of my favorite wide receivers, low-key favorite wide receivers that is rising up my rankings. Currently my wide receiver 9. And we've seen this performance in this past year against Kool-Aid McKinstry. We've seen him excel and take his, not excel, but have a really good performance against one of the top DBs here in college football against Alabama. Really great, reliable hands. And he takes over this Gabe Davis role. I would say he will elevate this Gabe Davis role, right? 6'4", nearly 200 pounds. He is somebody that can extend the field, go up and get a contested catch with really good hands as well. He is really reliable in the hands, only 2.3 drop rate coming out this year. So somebody that can really excel this team with Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid here. James Cook taking it over as well. And then obviously Josh Allen. So Adonai Mitchell I like here at the 111.
Yeah. He is Gabe Davis plus, with upside through the roof. So I love that pick. There's a wide receiver that's still available in the first round.
Yeah, there is.
You guys know we don't like this wide receiver. We're not big fans of his game. And I don't like the landing spot. So I'm going to leave him and let you decide. Because the next player I'm going to take is Troy Franklin with the 112, the last pick in the first round here. And in the mock draft we use, he's the first pick in the second round to the Carolina Panthers. Now, the good news is this is not a Jonathan Mingo where, can Troy Franklin get any sort of separation? No, I've actually nicknamed him Frozone specifically because of his release package off the line of scrimmage. I've said this before, but I think the guy has a special ability to just freeze a DB off the line of scrimmage. So if you're looking for a guy that is an explosive, dynamic playmaker that can get open instantly, those quick, short passes, get Bryce Young some easier opportunities. Get him, an opportunity to get the ball in a playmaker's hand, quick off the line of scrimmage, drawn up plays. I think Troy Franklin is a great fit here for a very desperate Carolina franchise.
Yeah.
So we'll take Troy Franklin here. A little bit of Jamison Williams, Devonta Smith, Deshaun Jackson to his game. So hopefully he and Bryce Young can get on the same page very quickly in Carolina.
New head coach, new GM, all should be coming in for Bryce Young and Troy Franklin in this world here. So that does seem very exciting.
6 wide receivers in a row, by the way.
That's how crazy this class is. Yeah. That's how deep it is. Okay, you know what? We're starting the second rounds here. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I know a lot of people are talking about him, maybe in the comments saying what's going on. Keon Coleman going to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round. Not an ideal landing spot whatsoever. Look, I don't know how.
Can I just say this is such a weird spot to me because I think. And y'all know I'm a George Pickens guy. I think George Pickens is a better prospect than Keon Coleman.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what difference are we bringing here with Keon Coleman being on this team when we have George Pickens?
They do not complement each other.
They don't whatsoever. 6'4", 215. I think George Pickens is 6'3", around the same size as well.
He's 200, I think, around 200.
There's nothing different that he's bringing besides maybe being a little bit bigger arm span and width. I'm not excited for someone like a Keon Coleman going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe Deontay Johnson walks. I know Allen Robinson, it was on a 1-year contract. He was already washed for a long time. He is not somebody, and I have been harsh, and I'll keep saying it. What more does he bring besides his size? To be completely honest, in my personal opinion, I think he's just a big body wide receiver that can go up and be a contested catch wide receiver. Now that is really harsh, and I want to be proven wrong. But at this moment, I'm still not in love with him. My wide receiver 14 in my rankings out of all these wide receivers. So I'll take him here just to rip the Band-Aid off and get out the way. But yeah.
It's funny because Keon Coleman is one of the players that I'm lowest on compared to ADP. And I've said this in previous videos. My least favorite landing spot for a wide receiver, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this is just two of, some very funny coincidence lining up there. I'm glad you took him.
Yeah, I'll take him. I'll do it.
Okay, so here I am with a big decision to make. You know, unfortunately, we will talk about Bo Nix in a second. He didn't go in the first round. He didn't go in the second round. Unfortunately for J.J. McCarthy, in today's exercise, today's world, he wasn't drafted. So this mock draft is assuming that he goes back to college.
Mm-hmm.
That could change. He already won a national championship, you know? So I'm going to go quarterback here. This quarterback went with the 45th pick in the draft, so a top 50 selection. And man, I am very confused about what to think about him, but Michael Penix Jr. is my pick at the 202. Second round pick by the New Orleans Saints, who, let's be honest, are probably not that sold on Derek Carr. Now, the good news for Michael Penix Jr. is he is joining a team with some very, very good receiving options. He's got Chris Olave. We talked about it earlier. He's now got Brian Thomas Jr. as well. Probably doesn't beat Derek Carr out, you know, week 1, but there's a chance, let's say week 7, week 8, week 9 of the 2024 NFL season, where maybe Derek Carr isn't playing well or he gets injured like he always does, and Michael Penix has a opportunity to step in and take that role. So I'll take him here. You and I were not sold on Michael Penix, the prospect. A lot of question marks around his injuries. And, you know, after the Texas game, I was very excited. But then we watched the Michigan game. It's like two completely different players.
Right.
He struggled so much with pressure. Was not accurate. Was very inconsistent. Now, he was injured. But I just think that it's funny because the Texas game really helped his draft stock. And I think this Michigan game is just going to put him right back where he was before that Texas game. It almost feels like they cancel each other out, in my opinion. But I'll take him here as he goes to the Saints.
Yeah, look,
SuperFlex league, I'll take a shot on him. Only quarterback in the second round.
Yeah, I think he fits this offense as well. We've seen Derek Carr like to air it out, deep ball down the field, and that's exactly what he can do here with someone, you know, like a Brian Thomas.
Two incredible deep ball receivers. So.
Chris Olave. So that is an interesting landing spot here. And I don't think I say this, and I don't mean this as a knock. I mean this as a massive compliment. I think he's a glorified backup. And I think a lot of people take that as a negative.
Glorified indicates that he's like
an elite,
not actually a good backup. So maybe a better way to say it is like you could say like elite backup maybe.
Yeah, an elite backup. And I think that's probably the best way to say it. You're right. The best way to say it is an elite backup. But she can come in. We've seen Derek Carr go down. Michael Penix steps in, and we can still feel confident in those wide receivers producing in a fantasy relevant week-to-week basis. So that's what's exciting about Michael Penix going to the Saints.
Could see a Geno Smith type, late Geno Smith type usage. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, here at the 203, there are a couple wide receivers, 3 wide receivers and a tight end that did go in the second round, but I still have an eye on a quarterback that actually went in the third round, but the landing spot is very intriguing. And not even just because I am a fan of this team, but I'm also a fan of this quarterback, and that is Bo Nix, and he does go to the New York Giants. Now, he is somebody that I've been saying I will not be surprised if he goes as early as the top 10 or as late as the middle of the second round. But here he goes in the third round. But all the players that went before him in the wide receiver room specifically, I would rather take a chance in a super flex league with Bo Nix going to the New York Giants because Daniel Jones is not going to be ready for week 1, in my opinion. Does Tyrod Taylor come back? And he does get Malik Neighbors. You have Jalen Hyatt. You have Wan'Dale Robinson, Darren Waller, Saquon Barkley if he's back. And Bo Nix, one of the big quarterbacks, that I really am excited about. I think one of my sleeper quarterbacks coming out of this draft class here, 6'2", 217. I'm really excited about Bo Nix, and I think he's extremely underrated, and I think he's just solidified himself, even though we haven't seen more. But J.J. McCarthy, we saw him in the game, but we still didn't see too much more of him in the game either,
we
right?
don't know more, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't find out more. So Bo Nix,
J.J. threw the ball 18 times in the national championship.
You can't sit there and tell me that J.J. McCarthy is worthy of going in the first round over someone like a Bo Nix. Maybe he does. Maybe he wins the national championship. Yeah, but was it JJ McCarthy that won, or was it the defense, or was it the run game that won? Like, that's how big of a discrepancy, JJ and Bo Nix could potentially be. But I like Bo Nix here going to my beloved New York Giants.
All right, there is so many different directions that I could go here. And wow. I could go so many different places, but I'm going to go with another one of my guys. That is Jalen McMillan. He balled out in the college football playoffs, got a touchdown in the national championship. I think hopefully between the Pac-12 game and the college football playoffs, people are finally seeing what I'm seeing with a guy like Jalen McMillan. I'll take him at the 204 here. He goes to the Cleveland Browns. Now, in my personal opinion, some might disagree, but I know you like Elijah Moore. But to me, Elijah Moore has done absolutely nothing to solidify himself on this team as an important piece moving forward.
Yeah.
And outside of Amari Cooper, I think there's a very clear pathway to opportunities on a team that should get a decent quarterback back and healthy in 2024. So I'll take Jalen McMillan, a guy who I believe can be the number 2 weapon for this offense at some point in his career. If not, the ceiling of when Amari Cooper, 4 or 5 years from now, when Amari Cooper is retired or whatever he's doing, Jalen could potentially take over that role completely. I'm a big fan of his game. I think at minimum, you're getting a Christian Kirk type player. I think his floor is Tyler Boyd. I said that in a video recently, and someone was very unhappy. They said, "Are you kidding me? Tyler Boyd was a top 3 slot wide receiver in the NFL once." I said, "Really? Top 3? I mean, he was a good player, but top 3?" I think his floor is Tyler Boyd. What Tyler Boyd gives the Bengals today. And I don't think that's unrealistic personally, but I'll take him there. Trying to paint a pretty picture, but obviously I just think the talent's going to win out at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense there. At the 205, I'll go with my favorite, Xavier Legette, one of my guys as well. He does go to the Tennessee Titans, not a favorite landing spot for me. You have DeAndre Hopkins there. We've seen Treylon Burks, what he has done. I mean, he's been injured, struggling with the injuries, but Xavier Legette, someone that I kind of compare to a DK Metcalf type build, 6'3", 225 plus pounds. Somebody that can go up and contest the catch. He is a big body wide receiver that has decent speed and decent length. What can he do? Can he fit into this offense? Is it Will Levis that's going to be the quarterback? I'm not necessarily sure, but I'm going to go with the talent here over the landing spot.
Okay, I am going to take Tez Walker at the 206. Holy crap, there's a lot of wide receivers off the board. I'm going to take Tez Walker here. Devontae Walker has been someone that has been rising up my rankings personally. I'd like to take him higher than this, but in the mock draft that we used, he didn't go until the 3rd round. But he does link up with Caleb Williams and DJ Moore in Chicago. I believe personally that he has the talent to be the number 2 there pretty much from day one. Now, he's not a complete player. He still has a lot that he needs to improve on, but I think he complements DJ Moore really, really well. He's a big body, size, speed athlete that can play on the outside.
Yeah.
Reminds me a little bit of Christian Watson, Mike Williams, somewhere in between. That is where I think you could get a player like a Devontae Walker, but big play threat, down the field guy, great long run speed. Those lanky strides like Christian Watson has. He's got silky smooth movements. Still a project route runner, needs to improve in that area, but linked up to a quarterback that historically at his college at USC has done more with less, right? Specifically this year. He's done more with less than most quarterbacks in college football. So I'll take Tez Walker there at the 204 and show him some love. 206.
206, right. All right, I'm going to go with the first running back off the board here.
Damn it.
Trey Benson does go in the 3rd round here at the 207.
I thought you were going to take another name. I was leaving Trey to talk about him.
No, it's
Go
all
ahead.
good. I mean, we can talk about him together here. He does go to the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they do make the playoffs. We see Aaron Jones coming to his last leg here, I would say. He's picking it up now. He's getting healthy. But Trey Benson, the first running back to go off the board in the first 3 rounds, according to this mock draft here. And he is the likes of someone like the Aaron Jones, or maybe a bit heftier Aaron Jones-like type of player. Size, body, speed is kind of what you get here with Trey Benson, a more heavy hitter running back, someone that can be easily an RB1, taking all the opportunity away from everyone that's going to be in the backfield once Aaron Jones is gone here. So I like Trey Benson going to the Green Bay Packers in the 3rd round here at the 207.
He reminds me a lot of David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Rashad Penny before he got injured. I really, really like me some Trey Benson. Y'all know this is my RB1 as of today. That could change, but to everyone who loves Travion Henderson was not drafted in this mock that we're using for landing spots. So don't attack us because he wasn't drafted. So we can't select him. And by the way, Trey Benson was the only running back in this mock draft that was selected in the first 3 rounds.
Yep.
Again, that just speaks to how weak this running back class is as a whole. But man, what the hell do I do next? I guess I'm going to take Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk goes with the 34th overall pick in the 2nd round. And he links up with Jaden Daniels, so he probably instantly becomes the number 1 option there, if we're honest. Now, I don't think he has the upside to be a number 1 receiver in the NFL, but he might be forced into that type of opportunity because of the talent around him. So I'll take him at the 208 there. He just reminds me a lot of Zay Jones. And Zay Jones was very successful with Trevor Lawrence when there was no Calvin Ridley. Maybe we see some sort of usage like that with Jaden Daniels. So I'll take Polk there at the 208. I think he's a good player. He just does not excite me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay. At the 209 here, I'm assuming this is who you thought I was going to take, maybe. And this is going to be Xavier Worthy at the 209. He does go to the Arizona Cardinals. The problem is he goes in the 3rd round.
Which is crazy, by the way. We just have to say he is not lasting to the 3rd round.
I personally don't think so. Anything can happen, obviously, in the NFL draft. I doubt he goes in the 3rd round. But, this is why he fell so far down at the 209. I bet you everyone was screaming in the comments, where's Xavier Worthy? What's happening? This is why. But at the same time, maybe there's a positive narrative here. Yes, you have someone like a Marvin Harrison Jr. does go to the Arizona Cardinals, but someone that I comped Xavier Worthy in the essence of was Hollywood Brown. Now, does Hollywood Brown stay with the team or does he walk? And I think if you draft someone like an Xavier Worthy and don't have to pay Hollywood Brown, this is a good replacement for your Hollywood Brown opportunity. Someone that can play on the outside, that can be a field stretcher, and someone that can play in the slot. And that's exactly what you can do here. Especially we've seen how Kyler Murray has divvied up the ball to different players and places here. You have now Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and Xavier Worthy all on one team, which is going to be really exciting. So trying to talk it up a little bit. The draft capital is not amazing, but the landing spot still could be favorable, even with the likes of Marvin Harrison Jr. being on the team.
Yeah, you got Marvin Harrison Jr., you got Trey McBride, so he's probably wide receiver or the 3rd option there.
3rd target.
And the 3rd round, that pushes him down a little bit, but we do like this player. He's clearly an upgrade over Rondale Moore, for sure. Okay, at the 210, there's like 7 players I want to draft. I'm not exaggerating, which again, we keep saying how good this 2nd round is this year. Go buy 2nd round picks this year. Go do it. But I'm gonna just take a chance to shout out one of my guys.
Okay.
This is probably not what I would do in a real draft, but I want to take a shot with these last 2 picks.
Okay.
To just shout out players that I really love. That's Jermaine Burton. I'm going to take Jermaine Burton at the 210. He goes to the New York Jets in the 4th round. Now it's early 4th round. I really, really, really love Jermaine Burton. This is one of those players where I scouted him right after we released V1 of our rookie scouting package. And I was upset because I wanted to put him higher in my rankings, but he reminds me a lot of Adam Thielen. He's got a little bit of Jaden Reed in him, some Jacoby Myers, a little Josh Downs, Demario Douglas. He's a very, very exciting player, in my opinion. Quick, confident release package that can put you in a blender off the line of scrimmage. He's a detailed, nuanced route runner. He's a quarterback extender's best friend. So you've got a quarterback in the pocket who's kind of like extending plays. He is very good. He has a very high IQ to recognize what's happening on the play. Great acceleration, can throttle down really quick. And I think he's got great play strength. Now, he didn't have the best numbers. I think that more speaks to the fact that, what's the quarterback at Alabama again? You guys know what I'm talking about. The mobile kid out of Alabama, he was not the most accurate passer, and the offense wasn't really built around the passing game anyway. It was more built around the run this year. But I'll take Jermaine Burton there at the 210. Probably wouldn't be the pick I'd actually make if this is a real draft, but I just want to take a chance to shout out a guy that I really love.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Why not, you know? All right, at the 211 here, I'll take another running back. He does go in the 4th round here, and that's Blake Crom here. He does go to the Baltimore Ravens. And look, had a good game, and he is somebody that I was a little bit lower on versus the community. I had him as my RB6 in, you know, my ranking so far this year, and I think he's easily going to be rising after this video. I kind of compared him before this as like a smaller Dameon Pierce. I didn't really see too much of a difference. Yeah, he was a smaller, heavy-hitting running back, but after watching more and more film, after watching this college football playoffs, the national championship game, he has continued to say, okay, look, I get it, but it just depends on the system that he goes to. And I think this system fits him perfectly. You think of how Gus Edwards plays. You think of how Justice Hill plays in this offense. I know Keaton Mitchell is probably going to be the speed. He is the power. He is everything that you want Gus Edwards to be and more, right? He is somebody that's going to be the goal line guy once again and more, right? 21 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns against Washington. That's pretty impressive, right? So I'll take Blake here at the 211.
This is a guy that I like. It's funny, not you, Badaki, but in our comment section, you can tell the trends of like people's opinions. When we first started talking about Blake Corum, everyone was like disgusted. You know, they were like, this is disgusting. Why are we even talking about this guy? He is a goal line merchant. He'll be nothing in the NFL. And since the college football playoffs, the tune has changed completely. People love Blake Corum now. And it makes sense because you're seeing it on a big stage. I think he really fits this system. Like you mentioned, one of my ceiling comps for him was Ray Rice. And it's funny that he's going to Baltimore because I think you could see some similar type of usage there. I'm not saying he will be as good as that player, but I think that is his ceiling.
I think what's really intriguing to me was the breaking tackle ability. Like every single play, you felt like he was breaking 3 to 4 tackles, and it was the same. I'm not comparing him to him, but I'm thinking like, remember when Javonte Williams coming out of college, like shit, like how many tackles is this guy breaking? And he just kept going and going and going, and that's exactly what you saw in the NFL when his first year in Denver. I think he had. He led the league in break tackles his rookie year.
Missed tackles forced per attempt. I think he led the league. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, does that happen the same with Blake as he goes into the NFL, especially once again in this offense with the Ravens? So that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think Blake Corum will be my RB1 in this class, but he absolutely is like one of 4 or 5 names that I'm very excited about at the RB spot. I'm going to take, because, you know, again, this is not the pick I would make if this is a real draft, but you and I love this player. We did not expect him to declare for the NFL draft, but he did. He did. He's injured. He tore his ACL. I don't really know what this is going to look like, but I'm going to go ahead and take Jonathan Brooks, who is the running back out of Texas. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings in the 5th round. Now,
which is good. It's
clearly you would prefer much better draft capital. In fact, I don't think Jonathan Brooks gets out of the 4th round. Ideally, I think he goes in the 3rd. But with his injury, it's really difficult to predict. So you'd feel better about this if he went in the 3rd or the 4th round. But he goes to a spot in Minnesota where they are desperately looking for answers at RB. Now, he's probably not ready for camp. He probably misses his rookie camp. That's a little bit of a concern. But, you know, imagine if they had Jonathan Brooks on the roster this year, just waiting to go at some point. He would have taken that role over instantly over Alexander Madison. Obviously, you know, Ty Chandler has looked pretty good, but I think Jonathan Brooks, you'll have to be a little bit patient with him, but I think he 100% has the talent to be the number 1 running back in that backfield at some point when he does get healthy.
Agreed.
The other concern, Badaki, is that we don't expect him to be that version of Jonathan Brooks again until 2025. So not only am I saying he won't be ready for camp, but we don't expect him to be himself until another year from the time you're drafting him. So that's difficult, but
this is a long play.
Based off the film that I looked at when he was healthy, he reminds me a lot of Travis Etienne. I'm seeing a lot of Cam Akers out of Florida State. I'm seeing a lot of Miles Sanders out of Penn State. It really, really reminds me of those two players before they were drafted. So I'll take him here. I'm a big fan of his game, and he's in a system that desperately needs an answer. I think he's that answer.
Yeah. I completely agree. I would just say this, like, keep in mind, this is a long play when you draft Jonathan Brooks. You're drafting Jonathan Brooks, and maybe you're not competing this year, right? You're saying, okay, next year in 2025 when Jonathan Brooks is healthy.
Maybe you are.
Maybe
and you have older running backs on your roster.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, he could potentially come back. I would say he would potentially be ready probably by week 5. But when does he get that turn of the workload? That's the
or even
the
when is he
question.
Himself though? That's the better question.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So the fact that he declares, I think he's pretty confident knowing that he is still superior. I mean, all due respect to everyone else. Yeah, he's superior. The tape shows that he is more talented than some of these running backs that are going and declaring in this year's class with a torn ACL. Like, think about that. That's probably what his team is telling him. At least I would imagine. So, I love Jonathan Brooks here, especially to the Vikings.
So, Badaki, can we put a list? Can we make a graphic of the all snub list? You know how in the Pro Bowl, there's like these. This is the all snub list, players that should have been drafted. Number 1, Jatavion Sanders. All right, he should have been drafted for sure. He goes to the Houston Texans. He was in the 2nd round. Yeah, the guy should have been drafted. I think we can all recognize that. Again, I just wanted to shout out specific players that I really liked. Braylon Allen of the New York Giants. He goes in the 4th round. 4th round isn't great draft capital. Is Saquon Barkley going to stay? We don't really know. You and I aren't huge fans of Braylon Allen, despite a lot of people saying we're idiots. That's completely fine. Audric Estime, he goes to the Bears in the 4th round. Audric Estime, I just don't think there's very much dynamic ability there, really, if I'm honest with you. I would say those are probably the biggest snubs. Yeah. Is there anyone else that you can point to?
I would say Marshawn Lloyd is pretty interesting.
Okay.
To the Bears or to the Browns in the 5th. I know Nick Chubb, he takes over the Kareem Hunt role, right? Until Nick Chubb is back, or whatever that's going to look like in that Browns backfield. That's going to be a very interesting dilemma for those guys. But yeah, I think that's about it. I would also say, I would say one more. Okay. And that's Bucky Irving. He goes in the 6th round. Not the best draft capital, but he goes to the Washington Commanders. Antonio Gibson. What's going to happen with Antonio Gibson? Brian Robinson showed up, but he is a pass-catching back specifically here. And with a new quarterback in and Drake May, that can be really exciting there. So I'll say not the best draft capital, but there could be a pathway for those guys.
Yeah, I think I'm happy to end it there. Again, guys, we're going to see the comments. You guys are dumb. Where the hell are the running backs? Why are running backs going so late? Those people probably didn't listen to the context that we are using another mock draft for landing spots. Those people probably haven't heard us say time and time again that the strength of this class is not running back. In fact, if there is the weakest position in this class, probably Badaki, I don't know if this is too far, but probably even beyond fantasy football, probably the entire in all of the NFL, every position on both sides of the ball, running back is probably the weakest spot this year.
Yeah, 100%.
So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. But guys, great news. Our 2024 rookie report and rankings.
That's right.
Version 1 has already been released over on the Flock Fantasy website. You can see an example of these profiles. You're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr.'s now, his attributes, pro comps, projected draft capital. When the combine happens, we'll update that. Some summaries on these players. If you want to learn more about the 2024 class in depth, specifically about these players, go ahead and sign up with our promo code LAND. You'll unlock version 1. You'll unlock our rookie rankings, our regular rankings, a dynasty team breakdown where we can help you make some decisions with your dynasty team. You'll get access to the Dynasty Trade Show, the Dynasty Trade Calculator on the website, so much more. So consider signing up. Check out the pinned comment. But that is it for today. We appreciate you. and we'll see you in the next video. Hold up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.